The galaxy was burning with war. Many worlds had fallen, and many people had lost their lives. Across the stars, fear had spread like a sickness. Among the strongest and cruelest of all were the Zarn, a race of tall, sharp-skinned aliens who ruled with power and fear. Their king, Verozan, had crushed every world that stood against him. On a faraway planet called Viranine, humans lived in the most dangerous place known. The air was thick, storms came without warning, and huge beasts roamed the wild lands. People who lived there were not weak. They were strong because they had to be. It was not a planet for soft hands or soft hearts. From this deadly world came a girl named Lily Hart. She had grown up fighting for every meal. Her feet knew the sharp rocks, her eyes saw through the darkest storms, and her hands had held off creatures that could kill with one swipe. She was young, but her spirit was old. One day, a message arrived from the Galactic Coalition. They wanted to stop the war with the Zarn, but they knew weapons and ships could not win peace. So they asked for someone different. They wanted a human from Viranine to go and speak with the alien king. Lily heard the message. She did not ask questions. She packed no weapons, wore no armor, and said goodbye to no one. She walked to the small port and got on the ship. People watched her go and said nothing. They knew what kind of girl she was. The ship flew through space for many days. The stars passed by the window like tiny fires. Lily sat in silence, her eyes calm, her mind quiet. She thought about the hunt. She thought about the time she was lost in the dark forest with only her hands and a piece of rope. She did not think about fear. The ship landed on the alien world. The sky there was red and heavy. Strange towers rose high above the ground, made of black stone and bright metal. Guards came to meet her. They laughed when they saw her small size and empty hands, but she said nothing and walked with them. They took her to the great hall of the alien king. The floor was smooth and cold. The walls were covered in gold and bone. The air smelled of smoke and iron. At the end of the hall sat Verozan, the alien king, tall and strong, with sharp eyes and a crown made of claws. He looked down at her and smiled like a snake. "So this is what the humans send," he said. "A child with no weapon." Lily looked up at him and did not speak. He laughed again. His court laughed with him. Warriors in armor, with long blades and sharp eyes, all laughed at the girl. She stood still, her hands at her sides. Her boots were dirty, her shirt simple. There was no fear in her eyes, only quiet. The king waved his hand. "Let her speak. Let us see what words she brings." Lily stepped forward. The room fell silent. Even the guards stopped moving. There was something strange about her calm steps, something that made them hold their breath. She stopped a few feet from the throne. She looked around the room. Her eyes moved like a hunter's. She saw everything. The guards, the doors, the weapons. Then she looked back at the king. Her voice was clear and cold. "You made a mistake." The king raised an eyebrow. "What mistake?" "Little human." She said nothing more. She simply stood there, and the room felt heavier. The guards took a step back, without knowing why. Something had come into the hall that they did not understand. Not a child. Not a girl. But something wild. Something shaped by a world where weakness meant death. Lily waited. And soon, they would learn who she really was. The silence in the Great Hall lasted longer than it should have. The Zarn were not used to being quiet. They were loud, proud, and cruel. But now they watched the girl from Viranine, as if she had brought a storm with her. Her small frame did not move, yet the air around her felt heavy, like the air before lightning. Verozan leaned forward on his throne. Smile was gone. He looked at Lily with sharp eyes, trying to understand. She was not like any human he had seen. It crushed human armies, destroyed cities, and taken prisoners. None had looked like her. None had stood still like her. "Are you a weapon, girl?" he asked. Lily did not answer. Her eyes stayed on his. The guards around the hall shifted their feet. One of them, a tall Zarn with red markings on his armor, stepped forward. "Let me remove this one," he said. "She insults the court." The king raised a hand to stop him. "No, let her stay. Let us see what her silence hides." Lily looked at the red-marked guard. Her gaze was not angry. It was cold, like still water. The guard felt something inside him twist, but he pushed it down. In the shadows of the court, others whispered. Some thought she might be a trap. Others said she was a test sent by the humans. But none knew the truth. Lily remembered her home. She remembered the deep caves filled with fire, the black rivers that boiled in the rain. She remembered the beast with 8 legs she had killed when she was just a child. Every day on VR9 was a fight. She had never stopped fighting. Even now, standing in a hall full of enemies, she was not afraid. She took a slow breath and closed her eyes. Her fingers twitched, as if feeling the wind of her home. Then she opened her eyes and looked at the king. You wanted to see a human, she said. Now you have. The king laughed again, but it was short and hollow. You are brave or stupid. Both are fun to watch. Another guard, younger and eager, stepped forward. I will make her speak with pain. He rushed at her without waiting for permission. His long arm reached for her shoulder, but Lily moved before he touched her. She turned, stepped aside, and his hand missed. With one motion, she pushed him forward, and he fell hard onto the floor. The hall gasped. The guard growled and jumped up, but the king raised his voice. Enough. The guard stopped. He looked at the king, then back at Lily, and stepped back into the line. You are fast, the king said. But speed means nothing without strength. Lily looked at him and gave the smallest smile. Then test me. The court went silent again. No one had ever spoken like that to Verozan. He stood up. His body was huge, covered in dark armor made from bones of fallen beasts. Walked down the steps of his throne. Each step made the floor shake. You want a test? Then you will fight. Not with weapons. With your life. Lily nodded once. The king pointed to the center of the hall. You will fight one of my champions. Win, and I will listen.
Ow, you lose.
And your bones will hang from my wall. Lily walked to the center. She did not ask who the champion was. She did not ask for rules. From a side door, the champion stepped out. He was larger than the guards, covered in metal armor and scars. His eyes were black and his teeth sharp. He carried no blade, did not need one. He smiled when he saw her. I will break you quickly. Lily crouched slightly, her eyes never leaving his. The court cheered. The champion roared and charged. But Lily did not move. Not yet. She was waiting for the right breath, the right shift in his foot, the small drop in his guard. She had fought monsters. She had faced death every day. This was just another hunt, and she never missed. The champion charged fast, each step shaking the floor of the great hall. His heavy body pushed forward like a storm. His arms stretched wide, ready to grab, break, and throw. The crowd shouted and cheered for him. They had seen him win many fights. No one had ever stood against him for more than a minute. But Lily was not like the others. She did not run. She did not raise her arms. She waited. Her eyes locked on the champion's chest. Her breath was slow, her body loose and ready. When the champion got close, she stepped aside so quickly that his hand missed her by inches. His speed was strong but wild. She used that. She twisted around, touched his back with one hand and used his weight to push him forward. He stumbled. The court gasped. The champion turned fast, angry now. You got lucky, he said. Lily stayed quiet. He ran again. This time his hands reached out lower. He tried to grab her legs. Lily jumped and landed behind him. Her foot shot out and hit the back of his knee. He grunted and fell to one leg. She kicked again, this time in his side. Rolled to the side and stood up, slower than before. The crowd was not cheering anymore. They watched with wide eyes. This was not what they expected. The champion growled and rushed once more, but now his steps were not steady. He was angry, and anger made him weak. Lily moved faster than before. She ducked under his arm, turned, and punched him in the throat. Not hard, but in the right spot. He gasped for air. She stepped in and struck his chest, then his ribs. Her hands moved like strikes of lightning, fast, sharp, and without fear. The champion fell to his knees. His mouth opened, but no sound came. He tried to stand, but his legs shook. Lily walked around him, slow and calm. She looked at him, then at the king. This is your champion? The king's face was hard now. His eyes were cold. Finish it, he said. Lily looked at the champion. He was breathing, but barely. She walked closer and raised her hand. Then she paused. "He is already done," she said. She stepped back and let him fall. The court was silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Vorasan walked back to his throne and sat down. "You fight like a beast." "I am from Virion 9, Lily said. "Every day is a fight." The king leaned forward. "You say you want peace, but you come here and fight my best." "I came because you think humans are weak," Lily said. "You needed to see what we truly are." The king looked at her for a long time. The court still said nothing. No one dared to speak. "You made your point," he said at last. "You are not weak. But strength alone does not win wars." Lily nodded. "No, but fear can stop them." The king sat back, his hands tight on the arms of his throne. "You think I fear you?" "Not yet," Lily said. "But you will." The guards tensed. Some reached for weapons. The king raised a hand, and they stopped. He stared at Lily. "What do you want?" "Leave Earth alone," she said. "We're ships away. End your war. And if I do not..." Lily stepped forward again. Her voice was quiet, but every word was clear. "Then I will come back. And next time, I will not come alone." The king did not answer. He only looked at her. Lily turned and walked out of the circle. The champion still lay on the floor, groaning. She did not look at him. Outside the Great Hall, the air was still heavy, the sky still red, but something had changed. The guards who had laughed before now stepped aside quickly. No one touched her. No one spoke. She had shown them what a human from a death world could do. She had left fear in the heart of an empire, and she had not even raised a blade. Her fight was not over. The real test had only just begun. Lily walked through the long halls of the alien palace. The walls were covered in dark stone and strange lights. She heard the whispers behind her. The guards were speaking in their own language, but she did not need to understand their words. She could feel it. Fear, confusion, respect. She had not come to be liked. She had come to be seen. One of the guards, taller than the rest, followed behind her. His eyes stayed on her back. He had seen her beat the champion. He had watched her silence the court with only her hands. Now he wondered what more she could do. Lily was taken to a small room made of black glass. There was no chair, no bed, only a dim light above. The door closed behind her. She stood in the middle, calm and still. Time passed. She did not know how long, but she waited. Finally, the door opened. An alien officer stepped in. His skin was silver and his voice low. "The king will meet you again, soon." Lily nodded. She said nothing. The officer watched her for a moment longer, then left. Later, another guard brought food. It was not human food, but Lily took it. She had eaten worse on Virion 9. Roots, insects, raw meat. She chewed the strange food and swallowed. Her body needed strength. When the door opened again, 2 guards came in and led her back through the palace. They walked in silence. Other aliens moved aside when she passed. Some looked at her with wide eyes, others turned away. She was taken to a new hall. This one was smaller, but filled with more light. The walls were covered in glowing symbols. At the center stood King Vorazan. He did not sit this time. He stood tall, his eyes fixed on her. "You surprised me," he said. "Few do." Lily stopped in front of him. "That is why I came." The king slowly walked around her. "You are not what I expected." Ow. "But one fight does not change everything." "No," Lily said. "But it changes something." He stopped in front of her. "Do you believe you can stop a war alone?" "No," she said, "but I can begin the end of one." The Razan raised an eyebrow. "How?" Lily looked up at him. Her voice stayed calm. "By showing you that humans are not prey, by making you wonder what more we are hiding." The king turned away and looked at the wall. The symbols glowed brighter. "You are not like the others we captured. You are born of fire and stone." "I can feel it." Lily said nothing. He turned back. "But I do not trust humans. I do not trust anyone." "Then trust fear," Lily said. "You saw what I did without weapons? Now think what my people can do with them."
Oh.
The king was quiet. His face was hard to read. Then he spoke again. "There is a custom in our world. When a warrior earns respect, they may face the king in battle, not for death, for truth. Lee nodded slowly. Then I will face you. The guards in the room moved. One of them spoke in shock, but the king raised a hand and silence fell. Tomorrow, he said, we fight, no weapons, no tricks, you and me. Lily looked into his eyes. I accept. The king walked away. The guards took Lily back to her room. This time the door stayed open. No one tried to lock her in. She sat on the floor and closed her eyes. Her mind went back to the caves of Virenine. She remembered training with stones and sticks, fighting beasts that never slept, learning to feel danger before it came. Tomorrow she would fight again. This time it was not for show. It was not to prove a point. It was to decide the future. Outside, the red sky of the alien world grew darker. Storms gathered over the towers. In the streets below, people whispered of the girl from the Deathworld. Some called her brave, others called her mad. But all agreed on one thing. She had come unarmed. And tomorrow, she would face a king. The next morning came with thunder. The red sky was filled with dark clouds. Lightning cracked through the air above the tall towers of the alien city. The wind howled between the stone walls. It was the kind of day when wars were remembered. Lily stood in the center of the combat ground. It was a wide open space made of black stone. Circles of white paint marked the area for battle. Around it stood hundreds of aliens, soldiers and leaders, all watching in silence. King Verozan entered from the far side. He wore no armor. His body was strong and covered in old scars. His face was cold, his eyes burned with pride and power. He stepped forward slowly, his feet heavy on the stone. Lily did not move. Her clothes were the same as before, her boots worn, her hands bare. But she stood with the stillness of a mountain. The sky roared again. A sharp voice spoke from the edge of the circle. This fight will be clean. No weapons, no tricks, no help, only truth. The crowd watched without sound. The king raised his hands and stepped into the circle. Lily stepped in too. Their eyes locked, and the fight began. The king moved first. He charged fast, his fists aimed for her chest. Lily dodged to the side, her feet light. She struck back quickly with a sharp hit to his ribs. The king grunted and swung again. His arms were strong, each strike heavy. Lily knew she could not match him in power, but she did not need to. She had speed. She had skill. She ducked low, rolled, and kicked the back of his knee. He stumbled. She jumped back before he could grab her. His breath came harder now. He growled and rushed again. This time she let him get close. At the last second, she bent backward and spun under his arm. Her elbow caught his side. Her knee struck his thigh. The king stepped back and touched his side. His hand came away with blood. He looked at her and smiled. You are not just fast, you are sharp. I have lived where weakness means death, she said. He nodded once, then came at her again. Their fight grew faster. They moved across the stone floor like fire and storm. Each strike, each dodge was clean and clear. Lily was tired, but she hid it. Her arms ached. Her breath was short. But she had known worse. She had fought for days without sleep on Virenine. The king slowed. His steps were heavier now. Lily waited. She let him come closer. Then she struck. Her hands moved quick. One to his shoulder, one to his jaw. She jumped, twisted in the air, and kicked him in the chest. He fell. The crowd gasped. Verozan rolled and stood again. Blood ran from his mouth. His eyes met hers. He smiled. Enough. Lily stood still. You win, the king said. You fought with honor. The court was quiet. Then slowly, they bowed their heads. The king walked to Lily and placed his hand on her shoulder. I see now. Your kind is not weak. Your kind is strong in ways we did not see. Lily looked at him. Will you stop the war? Verozan nodded. Yes, today it ends. The crowd stood in silence. For the first time in years, there was no roar of battle, no cry for blood, only the sound of the wind in the storm. Lily turned and walked away from the circle. She had won. Not with blades, not with ships, but with the truth of who she was. And the galaxy would never forget it. The palace halls were quiet as Lily walked back through them. The storm outside had begun to clear, but the air still held the weight of something big. The duel between her and the king had changed more than just minds. It had shaken the core of the Zarn Empire. Guards who once laughed at her now lowered their eyes. Officers who had doubted her now moved aside. Whispers followed her like shadows, not of fear alone, but of awe. She had faced their king and made him kneel without weapons, without tricks, only with the power of her will and skill. In the throne room, King Vorazan sat once again. His body was bruised, his face marked from the fight, but his voice was strong. Today we end the war. The room was filled with leaders of the Zarn court. They looked at the girl from Vera 9, still unsure how to understand her, but none challenged the king's words. "We will send word to the Galactic Coalition," the king said. "There will be peace. But it will be a strong peace. A peace earned, not given." Lily stepped forward. Her voice was steady. "The humans do not want control. We only want to live without being hunted." The king nodded. "You have proved that you can survive anything, even us." A Zarn elder stepped forward. He was older than the king, with long lines on his face. He looked at Lily with sharp eyes. "We have ruled many stars. We have crushed many foes. But never have we been humbled by one person." Lily did not smile. She had not come for praise. "I did not fight for glory," she said. "I fought because my world teaches us to never kneel." Later that day, Lily stood on a high balcony of the palace. She looked out at the strange city, now quiet. Below, the people had gathered. Alien faces stared up, waiting. The king stepped beside her. "They want to see who made peace possible." Lily looked at him. "They should look at you. You chose to stop." He shook his head. "No, I saw what you are, saw what your people might be. That is what made me stop." Lily turned back to the crowd. She raised one hand. The crowd was silent. She did not speak long, just a few words. "I came unarmed. Now we leave the war behind." The people below did not cheer, but their silence was strong. In it was respect. Soon after, Lily was given a ship to return home. It was not fancy. She did not ask for anything more. She stepped onto the small vessel as the stars began to shine again in the sky. The Zarn guards at the port saluted her. The officer, who had once spoken down to her now, stood still and silent. As the ship lifted off, Lily looked out the window one last time. The planet below, once full of danger, had become something else. A place where change had begun. She sat back in her seat and closed her eyes. She did not dream, she remembered. The first time she had killed to live. The time she fell from a cliff and climbed back up with broken ribs. The day she fought a snake with her bare hands. All those days had shaped her. Now she had shaped a future. The ship moved through space, passing stars and silent moons.
Oh man.
No words filled the air. No music played. Only the soft hum of the engines. When Earth came into view, it looked small, but it held more strength than ever before. Lily did not send a message ahead. She did not ask for a welcome. She landed on a quiet platform on the edge of a city. A few workers saw her step out and paused. They knew her face. Everyone did now. She nodded once and walked past them. She was home, but she was no longer the same girl. She was Lily Hart, the girl from Vera 9, and she had made the galaxy remember what it meant to be human. Lily did not return to a city of lights. She did not go to speak on stages or take gifts. She went back to Vera 9, the place where her story had started. Her ship landed in a quiet valley between two mountains. The air was sharp, and the sky was dark. Nothing had changed, and that was why she had come. She walked the rocky path with steady steps. The wind pulled at her hair. The ground was rough beneath her boots. Far off, a beast let out a cry. She did not flinch. The people of Vera 9 were the same as before, tough, silent, and alert. When they saw Lily, they did not cheer. They only nodded. That was enough. On this world, actions spoke louder than words. She passed the old training ground where she had learned to fight. Young ones were still there, learning how to track, how to strike, how to live. An old man with one eye stood at the edge of the field. He saw her and gave a small nod. She returned it. That night, she sat near a fire with a few others. They passed food around, simple and hot. No one asked where she had been. They already knew. The stars above were quiet, but the stories had reached even here. A young girl sat beside her. Her clothes were worn, her hands were rough, her eyes were wide. "Is it true?" the girl asked. "Did you really fight the alien king?" Lily looked at the fire. "Yes. Did you win?" Lily nodded. "Yes." The girl was silent for a moment. Then she said, "Were you scared?" Lily looked at her. "But I was ready to die." The girl nodded slowly, as if trying to understand. Another man by the fire spoke. "You ended a war. Alone." Lily shook her head. "I showed them what we are. They chose to end the war." He looked at her, eyes serious. "And what are we?" She looked up at the stars. "We're the ones who survive." In the days that followed, Lily helped train the young. She said little, but taught much. Her hands showed how to move fast, how to strike true, how to read the ground. The children listened. They wanted to learn from the one who had faced the galaxy and walked away. Across the stars, her name was known. Planets told her story. Songs were sung. Monuments were built. But Lily never left Veronine again. Ambassadors came looking for her. They wanted her to speak at councils, to join the new peace group, to help guide the future. She turned them away. Her work was done. She had never wanted power. The Zarn King sent a message once, a simple one: "Peace stands." I remember she did not reply. She did not need to. Years passed. Fury and Nine remained wild. Storms still rolled across the hills. Beasts still hunted the weak, and the people still grew strong. Lily became a name whispered with respect. Not because she had fought a king, but because she had returned and stayed, because she had never asked for anything. One day, the young girl who once sat beside her fire grew up. She became a leader among her people. She wore a small badge made of black stone. It was shaped like a circle with a line through it, the sign of peace earned in battle. She told stories to new children, stories of a girl who came from their world, who walked into the heart of an empire and who left it changed. And always the story ended the same way. The girl had come unarmed, but she left with the respect of the stars.